Okay, basic sculpting tools. Hopefully you decided to play around in the last video on your own and just explore some of the tools. But if not, I'm going to run through some of the big ones that I like to use a lot. Oh, and I don't have Blender open. Yeah, I found out while I was recording this video for the first time that I'm doing these in Windows. I usually work in Linux. Windows doesn't seem like it wants to handle... Oh, I've got a file prepared for this actually. Sculpt demo, don't save. And I don't need these anymore. Yeah, Windows. I tried to really make this high res, and Windows did not like it, and Blender crashed, which usually doesn't happen in. Also, right here, this icon. This is cool. This is perspective versus orthographic view. This takes away all of the perspective and gives you a nice, just sort of even. And you can look at how the lines are all parallel for the perspective. And this is more of the lines are going towards a vanishing point, like they would if you were drawing in perspective, or the way you kind of typically perceive the world. Yeah, Blender doesn't usually crash for me in Linux. I'm a little surprised that it did in Windows. I got a pretty good PC, but anyway, so let's get to the meat of the video. I'm going to turn on T. Oh, I'm not in T. Also, I'm using a tablet right now. I just want to go over again the navigation. Index finger button, the button that's closest to the tip. I'm hovering my tablet pen, and if I hold down that button with my index finger, that lets me rotate. If I hold down Shift with my left pinky, and then use that index finger button and hover move, I get a pan, and then Control is zooming in and out. And this is all going to be, you're really going to want to practice this, because you're going to be moving around a whole lot. I mean, as you watch me do some of the sculpting, you'll see I'm really flying around with that. In object mode, you just left click something to select it. You might wind up doing more than one object as you sculpt. You can join them and stuff, but that's something you should probably look up in a more involved video. For now, I recommend just trying to sculpt using one object. So I'm going to hit Control Tab and head over to Sculpt mode. And so the first hotkey I want you to know, all of the tools F. You tap F once, it gets you a modal that you have to confirm or cancel. And if you want to cancel one of those modals, like I've got it nice and big, but I don't want to use that. The other on my Wacom, the other button cancels it. Hopefully you have a similar tablet. But the F key makes the brush size bigger and smaller. That's what I'm doing here. And I'm going to press T to pull up the tools. It's good to have the tools available in sculpt mode. There's so many of them that, frankly, I still recommend learning the hotkeys, but I'm still learning which ones I'm using the most, and I don't like the default keybinds, so I'm going to customize them. I think I might have mentioned that in the last video. Maybe not. Anyway, clay strips. I'm going to press F. I'm going to make it smaller. This is one of my most used tools. Once I've got a block in established, I tend to use clay strips to add detail. I want to talk about the other thing, the other really important hotkey, Shift F. This changes how powerful the tool is. So I go down to like 1.6 and I start using this. I mean, I don't know if that's even going to show up in the video. It's changing on my screen, but I mean, I'm really rapidly doing that and nothing's happening. So I'm going to hit Control Z a bunch of times because I don't want all of that. So basically the idea there is that I hit Shift F and I had it really, really low power. And if I bring it up to, 0.7, now I've got, a more impactful brush. Now let's do one swipe with 0.7, and then I'll do Shift F, full power, and do another swipe, and you can see that's, it's even more powerful. So you might notice is it's mirrored from side to side. If you press N and go to Tool, this gives you a lot of detail about whatever the settings for whatever tool you're using over here. And you want to go down to Symmetry, and you can mirror across any axis you want. Right now, the most common one that I use is mirroring across X. Super useful, so you only have to sculpt one half of a face. If I turn it off, you can see that that's how I can detail one side if I want to like add a scar or something. But I usually sculpt with that on, at least for the majority of the intro part of a sculpt. I don't use Y or Z. You can use them. If I want to, you can see it's a little different. It behaves differently because the geometry up here is different than the geometry down there. But you can mirror across the other axes if you want. So I'm going to turn that off. I don't need that for much right now. The other one that I probably should have introduced early in the video, super important hotkey, is control. So if I'm just pressing down with my tablet right now, and you can see it's sort of adding material. If I hold control, that's how I subtract material, and that's how, like, if I want to really make some eye sockets here, or sculpt away some stuff, I'm going to hold control, and that takes away material. The next one I want to introduce is snake hook and elastic move, or elastic deform. Snake hook, I'll usually use that. Like I kind of got this block in by, I started with a sphere, and then I made my brush really big, and I pulled out the shape of a cranium using snake hook. You could turn this into like a xenomorph from Alien using snake hook. And as you can see, I'm losing resolution there because it doesn't automatically create new vertices. So if I wanted to, I could remesh, but I don't want to right now. I want to keep this like a sort of normal looking head. And that's how I would, if I wanted to expand this into a full body, I might model it actually. I might do like a basic low poly model, but you could also just pull it out using snake hook. So the elastic deform, this is kind of like, if these cheekbones are too strong and I want to adjust them in a little bit all at once, if I use the snake hook, it's kind of a sharp adjustment, like it's a sharper pull. But if I use this, then I can kind of, adjust the cheekbones, and the whole head moves together, like all together. So that's just a nice, I'm mainly adjusting one part, but the rest reacts with it. Next would be, what is that, fill? Oh yeah, fill. So if I've got, let's say, fill is really important for, let's say I went in and I have a really sharp, like, crevasse or crevice, something like that, crevasse, whatever. I would go in with fill, and I can use that to, it doesn't really affect, if you're not careful, it will affect the stuff you don't want to fill. But I can use that to kind of fill in an area, and you can see it is affecting it over there. I actually don't always use, what do I use? I use scrape, I think, and then what I'll do is I hold control to get a negative scrape, and that works very similarly to fill, but it seems to do stuff. It just behaves in a way that I expect it to a little more. It still will add stuff that I don't want it to sometimes, though. And those are the really big ones. This is the multi-plane scrape. I kind of use this as I don't think Blender really has a crease tool the way that Nomad Sculpt does. Is this it? Oh, there's a crease. So I don't know, let's see. Oh yeah, it does. Okay, right there, crease. I use crease a lot. Or especially negative crease. Like if I want to make this sharper, I'll hold control and I can get a sharper brow line. And then between this and fill, and use a negative fill, I often use negative fill just to kind of establish, you can see I'm kind of establishing some planes here, and I'm getting an edge right there. And I can go in back with the crease and use negative crease if I really want to. I can make that like a really sharp edge there. Not that I'd necessarily want to for a face, but just gives you the idea. Those are kind of the main tools. And then if I've got a sharp edge and I don't like it, flatten's good. I can kind of, oops, not what I wanted. I'll go in with fill, negative fill. I'm holding control for the negative, and then I can kind of knock back that edge. And it gives me two edges. I like to do that instead of smoothing. I just knock back edge by edge because it kind of preserves like a planar feel to your sculpt. Like here, there's a smooth tool in here somewhere, and I just never use it. If this were too sharp for me, I would just zoom in on it, and using the fill tool, holding control, just knock it back like that, and it gives me a nice flat. It gives me a plane where I'm working. I think that's pretty much the main tools I use. I highly recommend you go in and just experiment with them yourself and see, see what you come up with. Let's see, that's a little bit too powerful. Let's see if I can add in some eyes here. A little bit smaller, less powerful, and I like kind of. I'm adding and I'm doing swipes and like I'm going down and then across and then filling it in. It's almost like a triangle motion. Like I'm doing this and then this and then that, and that's how I'm adding in material here. And kind of looks bug-eyed. I don't love this sculpt at all. But then I might, this is kind of like low resolution. I might want more resolution to go in and do eyelids. This is what crashed my computer last time. So I'm gonna press R. And I'm gonna make this a little bit smaller, but not as small as last time. Hopefully this won't crash my computer right here. Okay, I'm gonna press Control R. Oh, nice. So I've got more resolution, and I can get in here and I could start. I'm holding Control. I can start sculpting in like, kind of the depth of the eyelids. And then I would want to go in and add even more resolution, but I do not want to risk my computer crashing. I would definitely wind up sculpting this with more resolution than this, though. But for the purposes of this video, I think we've pretty much covered what I wanted to cover. I'm gonna make this smaller. I'm gonna make power bigger, and I love doing funny stuff like putting a smiley face in. Is really ruining the sculpture. So, all right. Hopefully you're feeling pretty confident by now, and you can mess around on your own. If you have any questions, please make some comments, and at some point I will make a video to address your questions.